Okay, UMI bracket on a stock rear captures the lower control arm points here, and on the back side it has this joint, this point, and this point. So, strong. This is where when you combine aftermarket companies, sometimes it gets a little challenging. So I have the Quick Performance rear end, who I had added these lower control arm mounts so I can play around with mounting. And I have the UMI coilover conversion, which has double shear mounts as opposed to the single shear. Although this is double shear on the actual coilover mount itself. That's just a single bolt on there. I know it's a large bolt and this metal sandwiches up, but I would like to utilize this bracket here if I can. So what we're going to try to do is get this on here without removing the least amount of metal, basically. If I get this to slide up there close. Obviously it gets close. It's going to hit back here on the back side. Normally on a factory application your shocks would just mount over here and your springs would just go right there. Everything's fine. I'm not in a factory application, so I'm going to attempt to take this doubled up section here out. I'm going to try to grind that. If I can get a wheel in there or a Dremel or something, I'm going to grind those off, remove these, and see how far up I can get this. Hopefully, this is fun to do with one hand. Hopefully I can get this up high enough that I won't have to notch too much out of this, because I don't want to notch this crossbar right there. I think that'll be the best blend altogether, and then we can get this in the car and see what else we got to do. Okay, well, this is kind of the definition of insanity. I'm going to keep trying it till I get it right. I had to do a lot of clearancing on this little spud that sticks down, which would normally be the shock mount. That would go in, I think, this hole, and shock would come out and go that way. So I had to do a lot of clearancing to get this bracket to go up enough that I could capture, this hole on the lower bolt hole that was here, and then I drilled another one up there. So now I have two bolts on this side that will help, triangles make the rotational mass not want to rip it off. And all of that was for this mount. I love this UMI mount. It's double shear on the shock, and it's got a floater in there, which allows it to not bind because it has the misalignment spacers on there. And then on the other side, the bottom of that bracket gets tied in with another little spacer and bolt here, which strengthens the strength, which makes that stronger. And you can run your lower control arm lower if you're doing things. I'm not, so got this in this factory hole here and got everything to line up. I did have to do some clearancing on the back of the UMI bracket. I kind of cut that off because it was hidden in here, and then I had to cut off quite a bit, if you can see in there, of this spud back here so that this reinforcement can slide up. I could just cut that reinforcement, but that's what's holding up the back end of the shock and all the weight on that bracket, so I didn't want to cut into that too much. I kind of notched it here before I realized what I needed to do, but all I had to do was notch this. You can't see. All I had to do was notch the back of that bracket, or the back of the rear end housing here, and I was able to get that up high enough. So that allows me to keep the UMI coilover brackets on there, which is great. I liked a lot of the things that was happening with that. It still has my coilover at a good angle. I've got clearance all the way around now, so I can almost get a finger back there. So that's great. That's what I was going on. And as Lucky Costa says, repeat on left side as right. There's not much to show here, but I did get the pinion angle set. Anyways, I use the Tremec app, and I take my measurements, and I go until it's green, and that's usually good. Sometimes, depending on if the differential is higher or lower than the center line of the engine, it can play with your measurements. Thankfully, I think I was above it before, and that was kind of throwing me off a little bit. But now the pinion is lower, then the center line of the crankshaft, which means all my measurements are working. This is my measurement. So all green, all good. Probably going to take this for a test drive as soon as I get my fluid in. So when that gets here, I can put that in and maybe drive it, see if it makes any noises and stuff while it's all together, because coming up next, I need to set ride height and then take the whole car back apart again to fix all the things that I broke. Hey, that's me. To fix all the things that I broke during the burnout contest. Well, that was a pretty easy swap with the Quick Performance package. Bolts right in. I'm using the UMI coilover bracket, so I had to make some modifications and things to get everything to work just fine. But we're in, we're double shear, and everything should be good. I'm going to get some fluid and give it for a test drive. But that's it for this video. Hang in there for the next videos. We got a lot of stuff coming up, including how I fix all the stuff that I broke.